Elite Dangerous is a passionate subject, and as such, I understand some people's trepidation to speculate on anything that may have a connection to a larger sequence of events. If you are offended by the discussion of Raxxla, Steven Eisler, the Osir Raxxla, or tinfoil, please look away now. I am not the fountain of knowledge on Elite, and although I have an interest in the subject, I do not claim to have the definitive knowledge on this game. The following will contain sources from outside Elite Dangerous, such as the older games and material from Steven Eisler, otherwise known as Robert Holdstock. I try my best to formulate all my content as accurate as possible. However, there may be traces of nuts, fish, tinfoil and/or bones. For further allergen information, please refer to the rear of the packaging. You have been warned. One of the many possible misconceptions to the topic that is Raxxla is that it is simply an Earth-like or ammonia world, sat out in the void waiting for people to place their digital footprint upon the cartographic data. Similar to the themes in the real world such as El Dorado or Atlantis, that it is a vast metropolis gleaming with the riches of its original inhabitants. I never discount anything when I look into this topic, and it might well be the fact as simple as a lost world. My own thoughts on the subject of recent have taken me in many directions, but one sentence sticks out in my memory, calling over and over again. We do not know what Raxxla is. David Braben is ultimately the god of this fictional universe. Anything he says is gospel. Other developers throughout the history of Elite Dangerous have mentioned snippets of information, but it is only David that can add or remove content simply by commanding it so. Mr. Braben so far has mentioned that this game should, if possible, have a solid basis in science. Everything in the galaxy should be theoretically possible. There are some well-known liberties to this, but these are mainly for the gameplay experience. The scientific core of Elite Dangerous mostly is intact. Gone are the scenes of interstellar B-17s lining up to drop their payloads on a Star Destroyer. However, that doesn't mean that the tale of this galaxy is as completely sterile as the Fermi paradox may suggest. The Guardians, Soontil and the Thargoids prove this fact. As we know, there is a possibility that there are references to Greek mythology in this game, such as the toast of the Dark Wheel. If you travel to Cassiopeia and traverse its stellar bodies, you won't find Raxxla. If we look at the classical interpretation of Cassiopeia, we see here there is in fact a jewel that burns bright on her brow or forehead. Closest in terms of the two-dimensional representation of Cassiopeia is this star here. Remember, if you try to recreate this, you will have to get to Sol, as they are what we would see from our perspective of vision on this planet. I believe, if I am wrong about the toast, and it is in fact the actual toast of the Dark Wheel, the jewel is Sigma Cassiopeia. Although a very attractive system to visit, this place does not contain the ghostly echoes of a long dead world. As we know, the Thargoids are the only race that are directly connected with Witchspace. Some in-game lore suggests that the Thargoids could in fact have originated from this place, so this next part may suggest a reference in the latter half to the target in the first half. The Sirens, as I have discussed, were a race of mythological beings that would drag sailors to their deaths. Many of the developers of Elite Dangerous have stated they have interests that lay on the border of science and mysticism, including the man himself. To me, the way people get upset about these topics being included in possible hidden meanings is strange. After all, the current popular belief in science is that the universe is empty of any other life bar our own world, and to have it this way with an elite would make a horrifically sterile experience. To sate one's own heart desire only to find a void empty of the colour that organic life paints would paint a very grey canvas. As we have seen in previous episodes, there are voices out in the cosmos, pulling our sailors to their watery graves. The Thargoid menace is a probable connection. Does this breadcrumb trail end here? Are the Thargoids being manipulated by some external force, as we see on Thetis and Sigma 69? Is there something out there that has the ability to control people's actions, a light or a voice, or both, pulling the strings of whatever hapless victim it chooses? The following is from Robert Holdstock's Alien Worlds book. The Eye of the Beholder, a Raxxlan projection, which appeared above the primitive world Winter D, populated by sentient but unadvanced insectoids. The eye became an overwhelming symbol of the evil that stirred from the heavens. So disorientated the creatures that the Osir Raxxla were able to build their structure and depart without life being lost. This to me is a signifier that in some way Robert Holdstock's other material has been included within the game. According to the Greek Neoplatonist philosopher Proclus, Plato said there were three kinds of sirens: the celestial, the generative, purificatory, cathartic. The first were under the government of Zeus, the second under that of Poseidon, and the third of Hades. As the lore of the previous game states, there were in fact two races of Thargoids. The Oresrians were peaceful and the Klaxons were warlike. We do not know whether this has been retconned. There is some evidence to suggest that it has not. Could there be in fact another lobby within the court of the Thargoid queens? Could the naming of the Thargoid ships have relevance to a larger plot that this part of the toast was confirming this? Like the Guardians, are the Thargoids being destroyed from within, and that the Oresrians are the surviving element of this race that have not been influenced? Could the direction for which the Thargoids are travelling away from be the key to the discovery of what Raxxla is, and where it may be? The Osir Raxxlans were a race of ultimately benevolent aliens who, within the mind of Stephen Eisler, better known as Robert Holdstock, existed purely for the building of the Talmor lens, a device or set of devices that would control time itself and cure their apparent fear of death. They would fling huge vessels across the cosmos and seed worlds, whether they had sapient life or not, in order for the purposes of building these devices. In his illustrated guide, one such ship ended up in orbit of our planet and influenced the creation of the pyramids as part of this great universe-spanning machine. Ultimately, it failed. As I keep stating, we do not know what Raxxla is. Is it a planet? Is it a gate? Or is it a race of aliens? Many of the greatest minds that play this game have tried and failed to locate this world, Raxxla. What if Raxxla is another race, and that other race is in fact within our galaxy, amongst other places? What if their vessels, or at the very least their drones, are right under our noses? What if the presence of the Raxxlans is very present, yet their origin point out of reach for now? In my other videos, linked at the end, I discuss various locations within the galaxy that may contain a part of the path to the journey of Raxxla. They explore the possible theory that humanity has found something within these locations and has blocked off access via the permit locks. It is obvious that Sirius and the club have a strong connection to this theory, and that they may be controlling humanity and guiding them to some unknown goal, and are preparing them for something that, if mentioned to the general public, would cause mass hysteria. In the 1000 years that humanity has traversed the stars, we have seeded many worlds within our galaxy and have managed to create ships that can circumnavigate the galaxy. We have, as far as we know, however, never attempted to travel beyond the borders of the Milky Way. The way that our ships work is that they need interstellar bodies to lock on in order to travel across the stars. The lack of these objects within the deepest void inhibit our ships from travelling to our nearest galaxy, Andromeda. What if the journey to Raxxla is accomplished via travel through some unknown method, totally alien to us? What if they discovered some race beyond all comprehension, billions of years old? Would that race attempt to converse with these settlers, or would they step on them like a bug? Would they view us as friends and welcome us? Or would they view us as pests and appropriately engineer some method for our extermination? Thank you for watching. Please feel free to discuss below. So far, the discussion I have had with you guys has been great, and I thank those that have took the time to engage me on these subjects. For those that are new, welcome. For those that have been here before, I welcome you back, friends. Thank you to all the people who choose to spend a little of their time to compliment me in the comment section. It really means a lot. Please consider subscribing, and even if you want, to like as well. It all helps this channel grow.